Good morning, Max. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Julien, how is life in Paris? How's the world of Julien?
Let's not talk about the world of Julien. Let's talk about the world of Stefan today. I don't know if you recall, because it was a while ago, maybe not weeks, I think it was a month ago, but that was at the beginning of the year, actually. In January, Stefan Lee, who's an ex-colleague of ours and a good friend as well, kind of complained, for the lack of a better word, that we just were talking about negative stories. We didn't have any positive one. We should start to...
Well, it is therapy after all.
This is very true. He's being too French about it. But nonetheless, I wanted to make him somehow happy, so I decided, hey, let's have a good story. And truthfully, good stories are hard to come by because either they are good but not amazing, and therefore you forget them very quickly, or they are amazing, but they don't happen very often. So I had you know what, it's not amazing, but considering the type of company we're talking about, it's on its own pretty amazing that they delivered something great. And I'm even going to do name dropping for once, which is something we usually don't do, simply because...
Yes.
What we avoid because it's usually negative, but for once it's very good, so I want to drop a name here. It's even better because that's a name that no American ever could pronounce. It's too French to be pronounced.
Perfect. Well, so, you want to hop on the couch and let's get started?
All right. Let me talk about it. So here is my story.
Tell me your story.
First, amazing fact, we are going to talk about a telco.
That is a good telco. Okay, yes, this is already in the realm of unusual.
One of the top 3 in France. We have probably top 4. Like we have 4 major ones and a bunch of minor ones. That's one of the top 4 and one of the top 3 for sure. And just for the fun of it, they are called Bouygues Telecom. I have no idea how you would pronounce that in English. I know it has always been a problem. And typically you have people complaining about them for whatever reason, because people always complain about telcos and railway companies. But my story today, I must say, pretty amazing. So it's actually a story that happened 2 weeks ago, probably. Here's the thing. I had a problem with my voicemail. Not getting into the technical details, but basically if you would leave a message on my voicemail, I would get the notification 48 hours later, meaning by the time I listen to the voicemail, it's completely irrelevant already.
Way too late. Knowing you, I'm surprised anyone would ever leave you a voicemail, but that's beside the point.
Well,
when you get it, you want to be able to get it in time, for sure.
Most of the voicemails I receive are from other telcos trying to convince me to change company. So anyway, so I had that problem. First thing I did, I checked the app because I have the Bouygues Telecom app set up on my smartphone, and the reason why I have this is because they have a fantastic self-diagnostic system where you click a button. I'm actually thinking we probably have talked about this last year. Kind of ring a bell, where you click a button and they check your network and tell you what the problem is, and it, at least in my case, that works 8 times out of 10. So it's beautiful. Now in that case, the app just, gave me a bunch of stuff to do and test. And ultimately they said, it looks like we could not fix your problem automatically. Would you like to chat with someone? So I said, yes. They moved me to the live chat already pre-filled with the information I was giving them. I talked to a chatbot that was pretty good, I must say. Did not fix my problem, but put me on the right path to it. The chatbot automatically started another self-diagnostic that was a little bit more precise than the first one, still could not fix it. So the chatbot gave me a number to call and saying, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to call the hotline because since we cannot fix it from here, which is fair. They've tried. I hate calling hotlines. So at that point, I was a little bit skeptical about what comes next. I called the hotline, less than 1 minute waiting, incredibly fast. I can't remember whether there was an IVR, but if there was one, that was simple because it didn't leave any trace, apparently. We had a quick chat. Oh no, that was an IVR because I talked to a bot also, and what happened? It was an automatic voice bot of some sort that sent me an SMS say, "Okay, click on the link you're going to receive, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to try a third diagnostic, different from the first two. If that works out, beautiful. If it does not, you call this number back and you will be first priority to talk to an agent. You won't go through any IVR anymore. You will be directed to an agent that already knows your case." So I said, well, nothing to lose. I click on the button, on the link, in the SMS that I just received. The diagnostic did not help in any way. I'm a little bit frustrated at this point. I call back. No IVR. Directly someone picking within 10, 15 seconds? Can't recall. That was incredibly fast. The guy is incredibly polite, incredibly helpful, maybe a little bit too polite. It was kind of awkward at some point, but incredibly helpful. Solved my problem within, 2 minutes. Ask me, do you have anything else? I jump on the opportunity. I gave him another 2 issues to fix on my account. He fixed everything. At no point you feel like, you're asking for too much. At no point he transfers you. At no point he keeps being polite and nice and lovely and making sure that I understand everything. Did not put me on hold. And the best part is probably that when we started this conversation, he just confirmed my name and phone number. And he said, okay, here's what's going to happen. If the line cuts, my personal promise to you is I am calling you back on this number right away. You don't have to call the hotline again. You don't have to wait for an hour. If something happened, I'm calling you back, and you can count on me for doing that. And I was like, wow, that should be a standard for customer service, but it really feels like it was amazing. And I thought my story would end here. That's what I had planned for today. But they actually called my wife. We're on the same provider. They called my wife today just to check on her and asking, is everything fine? You have never asked any question to the support. Do you have any problem? Are you happy with your current package? And she was driving, so I pick up the phone. I said, well, I'm kind of happy with the package, but you've increased her rate by €2 at some point. I just see the difference that I'm paying. I was not going to call about that because it's €2, but since you're calling me, well, I'm not too happy about it. The guy said, you know what? If you want, I can cancel it, but let me tell you why you should not be canceling it. You got an extra 80 gigs for €2, plus you have free access to the 5G that we usually charge €3 more on top of the extra €2. So up to you. If you want, I cancel it, and I'm even going to go beyond and pay back the €2 you've paid over the past few months. Or if you're happy with this, then you just keep it. And I was like, I'm going to keep it. You convinced me. And again, big telecom, I am pretty amazed by the service I've received here. So Stéphane, here is your first logo on the Hall of Fame. Fantastic customer service. I was so happy.
Wow. There are so many good things in that story.
Right?
The first is, it sounds like this really was a really true omni-channel experience. You did stuff in the app, you did stuff in chat, you got an SMS, you got on the phone, and it sounds like the phone didn't automatically connect you, but it shouldn't because of security reasons, and you very quickly were able to identify yourself. And then that was all. That's amazing. And what that says about the thing we complain about over and over and over, which is silos. And, you already mentioned you never got transferred, you never got sent off somewhere else. All of that is blow away good. And then the fact that everything was efficient, you would have been able to be called back if the line had dropped. I don't know if you remember my IRS. Of course, IRS is one where customer
Everyone
service doesn't matter, but with that one, 3 hours into something where it looked like I was going to get a problem solved, it got dropped, and that was it. I went back, and the next person I talked to said, I don't know what he was doing. I can't do that. And I was like, can I talk to that person? No. So yeah, that's amazing that they would do that. That is a wonderful service story just across the board.
I like the fact that you highlight this point, because that would be, for me, that's it. Everything went well. Everything was great. Everything was somehow beyond expectation. this single element here, the fact that the guy said, I have your phone number. If something goes wrong, I will personally call you back, is what makes a difference with every other hotline I've ever talked to. Because most of the time, if it drops, that's for you to call back and wait another 20 minutes and explain your problem again. And that's incredibly frustrating. They've waived all of this out. And in the end, I mean, that could have been an empty promise because I didn't have a problem. Maybe he would never have called me back. But at least I'm remembering now that the customer service of Bouygues Telecom, when they say they will call back, they do it on a personal fashion, and you talk to the same guy, and that was just fantastic to have. So, I mean, fantastic across the board. I can only recommend that you use them next time you come in France to get drunk into some wine tour with your friends.
Yes. Okay. I will do that. And this is the one that we pronounce Bouygues or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. This is the one. And I mean, I have no idea whether they're good with non-French speaking customers, but I can only recommend for any foreigner listening to that, you come to France, you need to have short-term plan, or you live in France, you need long-term plan. Apparently, I'm hoping it's not just with me, but they are doing a great job. So what can we analyze here? What would you say about it? How to go beyond?
Let's see. Okay, so we hit a couple of the points. The silos are gone. They really mastered omni-channel. I think another thing that struck me here to analyze is what they tried to do with self-service. I think, you mentioned by the third time that they were trying to troubleshoot the system automatically, it was getting a little tiresome. But if that had a 30% hit rate or something, I think that's a reasonable ask. And I think I would argue part of why they're able to do such good service is they were able to automate so many fixes that the ones that require a person now are less. So I was impressed by that. I thought that was, and I get your, all right, third time, really? I get that, but I think it's a good and a positive thing. Something that strikes me is you mentioned how you used the word lovely the agent was. That's something that it almost never have we had a story where the issue was the agent. What they're allowed to do is almost always the issue. What they, how I got to them, could I figure out how to get to them? But once you get an agent, it's so rare that we have they weren't nice, they were terrible.
I would not. I mean, I had a few stories, not necessarily things I've shared, but I had a few stories where I thought the guy was plain rude, not rude, but not respectful enough. I mean, we're not buddies, right? And I'm not bothering you. You're actually doing your job, and I'm a customer, so could be a little bit nicer. And I had plenty of experiences where I had the feeling to talk to a robot. Yes, they were absolutely polite, but they were reading a script. At no point I felt they meant anything they said. Here, probably the guy didn't mean anything he said, but he made me feel like he actually cared, and that's a major differentiator. And I was so satisfied with it.
That's a great for anybody who's a CX person running a contact center out there. Use talking points. Get away from scripts, because that is so true and it's so real, and it's something in our research we see over and over. That drives such better customer and agent results when people do things like that. That's a really good point of clarification on there.
So there's culture and training and making sure you go beyond. You make it real. Make it real is probably super important. Don't get people to read a script. Get them to understand why they should say such thing, and get them to say it with their own words, maybe, but make it real. Make people feel they mean it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's all very true. Any last thoughts?
My last takeaway would be something you said. It's possible. We complain so many times over, don't have silos, don't get people to call back, don't transfer them, don't ask them to re-explain their problem over and over again. And every time when we say this, I feel it's easy to say, but is it really that easy to implement? I don't know if that's easy to implement for every company, but it's possible. And today's story is kind of the proof. and I'm just happy to be able to share a positive story. So Stefan, if you're listening to this, we expect at least a like under the video.
And we'll make sure he knows he must listen to this.
Perfect.
So,
thank you so much, Max.
I just
I'm happy.
feel so good about the world right now. Thanks for sharing such a great story.
Perfect. Waiting to listen to yours next week, and we'll see whether it's a good one or not.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Julien.
Thanks,
Take care.
Max. Bye.
Bye.